Hey everyone, I'm Salty, and this is supposed to be a little recap of my Iavorah campaign. We started a few weeks ago, and I wanted to do this because it'll help me and my players keep more accurate track of what we did in our earlier sessions, and help me get a good handle on what my audio and video equipment can do and how well it turns out. So let's see how well this turns out. So our first session started out pretty boring. We had about 2 hours of character creation before we got to the one little combat encounter I had planned. We started out with the party setting up camp for the night, and they noticed a starving wolf prowling the edge of the camp. Mimer, the Gengar Druid, cast Speak with Animals and asked, "What does the wolf want?" He replies, "I'm so hungry. We're all so hungry." The players talk for a while about giving it some food, but they're distracted for a little too long. The Druid notices another wolf is snuck to the barbarian's tent and grabbed his equipment pack and begins to run off. We roll initiative. Some spells are cast, Entangle and Sleep. The wolf of the pack falls unconscious, and the first wolf is caught in the entanglement. That's when the other wolves appear. From the shadow, 4 more wolves attack the party. They surround them and attack. Jordan, the human paladin, fends off the wolf he's fighting and moves to help Mimer. Grim, the half-orc barbarian, staves off the attacks against him and gets a good hit on his wolf. Cobra, the elven sorcerer, is not so lucky. He is bitten by the wolf and misses his counterattack. The entangled wolf makes his way out of the vines and runs toward the paladin, where he is dispatched before he even gets an attack off. The druid and paladin finish off their foes during the next round, and Cobra redeems himself by finishing the last 2 wolves with a barrage of magic missile. And that's where we ended our first, or really 0th session. Mostly boring character creation, but we were able to break the characters in and showcase a little bit of their combat potential. Later, we played our first regular session, where we flash forward 2 days, where the party had traveled to a town and stayed in the inn, where the owner begged them not to kill anyone. An odd demand, but reasonable. He gives them food and board, and they went to sleep. They're having their breakfast, and next morning a man covered in soot and ash comes through the door and begins asking the innkeeper about mercenaries. "I haven't played that game in years, not since the old PlayStation died." Wait, that's not what he said. He comes over to them, noticing their weapons, and asks if they're for hire. They respond back with the typical, "Depends on the pay. Depends on the work." The man, who has not yet introduced himself, says he will give them 100 gold pieces if they can return his items that were stolen by bandits who had come to his house and burnt it down last night. The party asks what was stolen. The man tells them it was 2 long swords, a signet ring, a jar of special ointment, and my strong box with my money inside. Everything else doesn't really matter. Some paintings and art stuff. Before they accept, the barbarian tries to get a little more out of their payment. After a moderately successful persuasion, the man agrees on 150 GP. The party accepts and heads to the burnt house, where they find tracks leading to the woods to the northwest. And after a quick check on supplies, they head off in pursuit. After traveling all day, they come across a small fortified encampment on the side of a hill. After a few minutes of planning, they make their move. They're going to scale one of the dirt slopes and get a view of the camp from inside there. And after a series of athletics checks, the barbarian critically fails. Grim lands on his back, and the sound of his equivalent jostling around alerts one of the bandits in the camp. The bandit comes out to investigate, but the druid casts Fog Cloud, obscuring the area. The bandit then stalks curiously into the fog and finds a silhouette of Grim, the 7-foot half-orc, in the fog. He runs out of the fog to the entrance of the camp and shouts to the others inside, "There's an 8-foot bear in the fog! He's trying to get into the camp!" It's initiative. Grim in the fog lets out a roar, and the bandit at the entrance freezes in fear as a dark streak runs down his leg. Cobra runs out of the fog to the top of the camp to see one of the bandits with a crossbow climb the ladder to get to the overlook. 4 other bandits in the center of the camp. He casts Sleep. 2 of the bandits in the middle pass out, but the bandit nearby shoots him and takes him down to 1. Jordan runs out of the fog and leaps in front of Cobra. Throwing his javelin at the bandit, he hits, but it's just a glancing blow. The remaining bandits scale the ladder and get between Jordan and their injured ally. Mimer walks out of the cloud and casts poison spray on the bandit, and he chokes on those poisonous gases. The next round, Grim comes out of the fog and crushes the kneecap of the bandit, his leg now covered in urine and blood. Cobra casts Magic Missile, almost killing the crossbowman, finishing the bandit at Grim's feet, and knocking one of the bandits in front of Jordan down the slope. The crossbowman returns fire at Cobra but misses. The remaining bandits are slowly dispatched one by one. Jordan slips down the slope, but is able to finish the bandit at the bottom. The combined forces of Mimer and Cobra eliminate the bandits at top. Grim enters the middle of the camp to find 2 sleeping bandits. He wakes one of them with a maul, and after a short interrogation, he learns the items are being kept in the main tent. Grim kills the bandit, and Jordan quickly ends the other while they sleep. In the tent, they find all but one of the longswords from the burnt house and sleep for the night. The night passes, and they wake up and make their return trip back to the bar. There, they find another small group of armed men sitting at one of the tables. They overhear them talking about a tomb they just visited. Too bad it was empty. Looks like the knights got there first. They notice one of the men is carrying a longsword on his belt that looks a lot like the one they're missing from the camp. The innkeeper quickly makes it over to the party and pleads with them, don't get into any fights. Don't kill anyone. The party tries to get some information from the innkeeper. Who are they? Are you working with them? The innkeeper responds, no, I'm not working with them. Is it too unreasonable to ask you not to kill anyone? And it's at this point the man with the sword shouts at them, hey, leave the man alone. He's got work to do. We're still waiting on our food. Jordan responds aggressively, roughly telling him to go to hell. The man with the sword did not take kindly to this, neither did his 2 friends. Why don't we handle this outside? He responds, and Jordan agrees. The party goes outside with the men, and the innkeeper watches, terrified, from the door's window. The obvious bandit captain says, why don't we make this interesting? You win, and you can have this nice sword, and whatever's in my pockets. And if I win, I'll take whatever's in your pockets. Paladin Jordan agrees. Jordan and the bandit square off, and the initiative is rolled. The captain goes first, attacks, and knocks Jordan unconscious with the first strike. As the bandit stoops down and begins to rifle through Jordan's pockets, the rest of the party intervenes. Grim rages and takes on the bandit captain. Cobra stays back and casts his spells. Mimer sprays poison to the face of the other bandits while healing Grim. After the hardest fight so far, the party wins. Jordan stabilized from his death saves and lay unconscious on the floor. Grim went down to 3 HP twice during the fight, but Mimer kept healing him while staving off the other bandits. Cobra stayed in the back and used his spells to blow away those with weaker ones. As the bandit captain falls, a blue light streaks out from the window of the bar. A few seconds later, a man in dark black robes, adorned with black raven feathers, walks out, followed by another man clad in full black plate armor, treated by 2 others, hooded down to their chin, where you can see the stark white of bone. The 4 step out, and the robed man waves the innkeeper to come out. He reluctantly does. The robed man hands him a handful of gold and says, I always reward good work. The innkeeper carefully takes the gold and goes back inside as the robed man turns to the party. He looks at them slowly, his eyes lingering on each of their faces. He walks up to Jordan, who is still unconscious. Oh, this one's still alive, is he? Is he with you? The party, in different states of fear, nod to the robed man. The man stands up from Jordan's body and inspects the others, finding them all dead. He turns to the party again and hands each of them a red-hued gold coin. He places one in the coat pocket of Jordan and says, I like good workers. The robed man motions to the others who followed him, and they move to pick up the dead bodies of the bandits. But before they can walk off, Grim stops them and says, This land's where I come from. We keep what we kill. I want that sword. The Black Knight carrying the body of the captain turns and loosens the belt of the body and hands it to Grim. The 4 begin walking down the road, and the road one remarks to the knight, I hope you'll get to continue working with them, Bernard. In a swirl of blue smoke, the 4 of them disappear with the bodies of the bandits. As the party collects their thoughts and Jordan's unconscious body, the innkeeper comes out again and says, I told you not to kill anyone. I warned you, but something would happen. Now look what you've done. The party begins responding, but the innkeeper stomps off back to the inn, closes and bars the door. The party finds another bar in town and goes to find a place to sleep. The innkeeper there sees Jordan's body slung across Grim's shoulder and asks, Oh God, is he dead? Grim responds, no, he'll make it. The innkeeper sighs and goes to collect towels to bandage him up, and the party rests for the night. The next morning, the rest of the group fills Jordan in on what happened and talk about where they want to go next. The innkeeper warns them not to go to the west. It's only worse, he says. But there's work in towns to the east and to the south. But if you go south, you have to go through the swamp. And that's where we finished the session. The party decided to go east to look for work, and hopefully they'll survive that trip.